Now we're going to work on solving equations with variables on both sides of the equal sign. We're going to continue to solve these equations like we've been solving one-step equations and multi-step equations, equations with parentheses, equations where we must combine like terms. Okay. So if we look at this equation, 13m minus 22 equals 9m minus 6. We need to get the constants together, so that means the numbers without the variables, and we need to get the numbers with the variables together. We could start this problem in 4 different ways. I personally like to get my variables together first. So since I'm going to get my variables together first, I'm going to subtract 9m from both sides of my equation. So that way I get the m's together. So we understand combining like terms. So we have 13m minus 9m, and 13m minus 9m gives me 4m. I bring down the minus 22 equals, now I have a negative 6 here. We can't leave that negative sign off that's in front of it. That's 6. If it was an addition sign, we could leave it off because we know the number's positive. Now we need to get the constants together. So we're going to add 22 to both sides of the equation, which leaves me with 4m on the left-hand side of the equal sign and negative 6 minus 22. So we have a negative and a positive. We subtract their absolute values. 22 minus 6 is 16. And the positive has a greater absolute value, so it's a positive 16. At this point, it should look very familiar. We're going to divide both sides by 4 to give us a result of m equals 4. Now, this is how we're going to do equations with variables on both sides of the equal sign. Do one more together, and then I want you to try a few. So I'm going to subtract 14c from both sides, which leaves me with 5c plus 26 equals 41. Very important, we're showing every single step. So now I'm going to get rid of this positive 26 to start getting the c by itself over here on the left-hand side, which is going to subtract 26 from both sides. So we have left with 5c equals 41 minus 26, which leaves me with 15. Divide both sides by 5, and c equals 3. Once again, just like all equations, we can always check ourselves. So we can put the 19 times 3 plus 26 equals 41 plus 14 times 3. So 19 times 3 is going to give me 57. 41 plus 14 times 3 is going to give me 42. When I add 57 plus 26 together, gives me 83. When I add 41 plus 42 together, I get 83. So we can see both sides of our equation are equal to one another. So we know we got the right result for C. You guys stop the video and try the next 2 or 3 problems here before we move on to another topic. And then come back and check your answers. I was solving this one, I would have added 7x. I'm a big fan of putting my variable on the left-hand side if I can. If I can't, it's okay. So we're left with 15, negative 4x plus 7x is a positive 3x. Hopefully you got that. Then we have 42 on the right-hand side because negative 7x plus 7x is 0. Now let's put our constants together. So I'm going to subtract 15 from both sides. Which leaves me 3x on the left-hand side and 27 on the right-hand side. Divide both sides by 3. x equals 9. Bravo to you who got that correct. I'm going to add 4y on this problem. Leaves me 14 plus 9y equals 50. Subtract 14 from both sides, and we have 9y equals 36. Divide both sides by 9, and y equals a positive 4. Great job to those of you who got 4. And let's do this one. So I'm going to subtract 10w from both sides. Remember, we're trying to get the variables together, the constants together on one side. So we have 8w minus 2 equals 14 left. Add 2 to both sides, which gives me 8w equals 16. Divide both sides by 8. W equals 2. Try this last one. So I'm going to subtract 6a from both sides, which gives me negative 11a plus 6 equals negative 38. Subtract 6 from both sides. Left-hand side, I'm left with negative 11a, and negative 38 minus 6 is negative 44. Divide both sides by negative 11, and a equals a positive 4. Now we're going to look at something that is a little bit tricky and new for most of you. Okay, some equations have no solution. That means there is not a number that you can put in for the variable to make the equation true. So in this problem, we can see we're going to distribute the 5 to the 2x plus 1. So when I do that, I have 10x plus 5 equals 10x. Now when I start combining my x's, you can see we're going to subtract 10x. Right there it looks kind of funny, because if I subtract 10x on the left side, all I have left is 5. If I subtract 10x minus 10x on the right side, I have nothing left, so I have 0. Now does 5 equal 0? We all know that's not true, so we would write that this answer has no solution. Because once again, 5 does not equal 0. Now we also have tricky questions that where any number can be substituted in for the variable, and we're going to have that all numbers could be a solution for this equation. These problems come out looking like this. So in this example, we must distribute our 2 to the 3x plus 1 on the right side. So I'm going to bring down 6x plus 2, and then I distribute. Kind of tricky. Because when I see this, I see that both sides of the equation look exactly the same. Okay, 6x plus 2 equals 6x plus 2. So there's a couple of ways you can go about doing this, all right? I would recommend in this problem, once I see that both sides are the same exact thing, all right, of subtracting 2 from both sides, which leaves me with 6x equals 6x. Divide both sides by 6 then, and x is equal to x. So you can see then that any number you put in for x is going to equal x. Right? You can check several different numbers, all right, yourself, and substitute them in for x and see if both sides of the equation equal one another. So for this answer, you would write all numbers for your answer. You have two equations here. Give both of them a try, and I'm going to tell you one of them is no solution. One of them is all numbers. So give them a try and see which one is the all numbers and see which one has no solution. If you did these correctly, the one in green should have an answer of all numbers. And the one in red should have an answer of no solution. So hopefully that helps you understand problems like that. Lastly, we have problems that involve geometry, where we can use equations to help us find answers to given questions. So in this question, I've given you a square, and I want you to find the perimeter of that square. Now, we know and understand that squares, all sides are equal to one another. So since we know they're equal to one another, we know this x plus 4 side is going to be equal to 2x. All right? Both sides are equal because it's a square. And we know all four sides of a square are congruent. So I can set up an equation to help me find the perimeter. First thing we have to do is find out what x is. So let's solve this equation. I would subtract x from both sides. You can see this time I had to move my variable to the right side because I like trying to keep positive exponents, or positive variables. And 2x minus x is 1x. So we have that x equals 4. So at this point, we're going to go back in here to this original problem and substitute a 4 in for those x's. So we can see 4 plus 4 equals 8. So this side of our square is 8. Now let's check to make sure the other side of our square equals 8. And we know 2 times 4 is 8. So that means that both sides equal 8. Now, the question, though, was to find the perimeter of the square. So we have to either add all the sides up or take one of the sides and multiply it by 4. So 8 times 4 gives us an answer of 32. So the perimeter of this square is 32. Hopefully now you understand solving equations with variables on both sides. And you can see how easy it is if you follow each question or each problem step by step and show all of your work.